Shalom, shalom. Today I want to talk about women. And the reason why I want to talk about women is because they appear more than usual in this week's Parsha, Parshat Pinchas. First, of course, is the story of Bnot Tzlufchod that everybody likes to speak about because it's incredible. It's just an incredible story. Here we're given the names of these daughters of Tzlufchod, who are Machla, Noah, Chagla, Tirza, and Milcah. Not in that order, by the way. And they come from Tzlufchod, and Tzlufchod is somebody who, they said to Moshe, died of his own sin, and they were devastated because only males were going to get an inheritance in the land, and their father had no sons, only daughters, and therefore they didn't feel they can perpetuate the father's name. They wanted to honor their father. They loved the land. They wanted a piece of the land. They wanted to be a part with their, as I said, their brothers in the tribe and have a piece of land. And Moshe was like, I don't know. And he goes to God, and God says, this is what they spoke is correct. And not only that, but this should be the law. If a man passes away and has no male heirs, that the land should indeed go to the daughters. Of course, Moshe gave them a caveat that they have to marry within their tribe, which they faithfully did. But I love this story for so many reasons. I love this story because I love the way it shows their connection and bond in the family, because we're told their names and we're told them in different, twice here and another time later on, but they're given in different order. And I think that is for two reasons. First of all, the fact that we're given each and every one of their names in the Torah is no small thing. It could have just said Bnot Tzlufchod. It didn't have to go out of their way to say each one of their names specifically. And the reason why the Torah would do this is because they were true to their name, which is their own unique identity that is theirs and nobody else's. They had a purpose, they had a personality, they had a strength that only they had and nobody else had, and they fulfilled that. And yet, even though they were so distinct from one another with these very different names that represent very different talents and abilities, which could cause friction with other talents and abilities, they put that aside to use their strengths to come together as one unit, one family, one purpose, one mission to perpetuate their father's name and get two missions, to perpetuate it, or it could be one, by inheriting this land that they loved so very much. And this is something that should be celebrated. The fact that they, at that time, achieved something unprecedented and had a law in the Torah that was molded after their love and desire to inherit the land. Wow. I mean, that is a story to be celebrated. And that's a beautiful thing and a great example. But there are other women that I mentioned that really don't get so much attention because of this incredible story that should. And so therefore, I'm going to speak about them. So one is Tzarach. Tzarach is the daughter of Asher. Now she's famous. She's mentioned also in the Torah more than once, and in this week's Parsha when it discusses the lineage. Who is she? She is the daughter of, as you said, Asher, and she is one very brilliant, socially intelligent, emotionally intelligent period woman who was the one and the only one that the nation trusted, that all of the people that existed when they wanted to bring back Yaakov, when they found out that Yosef was still alive, and Yosef said, bring daddy back to Mitzrayim so I can sustain him, so we can feed him and take care of him in the time of famine and make sure that everything's good. And they're like, oh my, how are we going to tell Yaakov after all these years that Yosef is still alive? He is very old. The toll that it took on Yaakov that he thought it was dead, it said he was non-consolable. He was just non-consolable. And to tell him now this information after it's set in and he's kind of accepted it, could just kill him. It can kill anybody, but especially a man in his old age. So they didn't know what to do and how to go about this information. So the one person they trusted, the one person was Sarah, because she was so kind and sensitive and smart in a way to be able to impart information in a way that anyone could accept. And so she took this information and she turned it into a poem, to a song, and she sang to Yaakov that Yosef was still alive in a soothing way to enter his psyche in a way that it could do that, and then enter his heart and he can accept the information. And this was something incredible. And Yaakov says, if this is true, may you live forever. And we're told that she had a very, very long life, and that she was a woman who apparently was trusted to take care of information, to be the one to safeguard secrets for the nation, that they didn't trust anyone else, because she had the wisdom of how to safeguard information, but use it when necessary. Like when the code for when they were going to be redeemed from Egypt was, we're told, pakod yifkod, and that was supposed to be the key words. And when Moshe and Aaron came back to tell the people they're going to take them out of Egypt, they used this, and she confirmed that indeed these are the redeemers. This is the language, and then everybody listened to them. And we're also told that she was the one who, when they were going to leave Egypt, and they wanted to, because they promised Joseph to bring his bones out from Egypt back into the land and bury him in the Holy Land, she was the one who was able to get the bones to find out where it was, to rise from the water, and so that they can take the bones of Yosef back. So this woman was somebody who was brilliant in so many ways. There's sometimes you have people with just one kind, but she was able to understand and absorb information and use it to lift people up, to redeem the people, and to do it in a way that people can accept, because you can have all the information, good information in the world, but if you can't impart it in a way that people can accept, it's no good. So she had played a vital part in the redemption of the people. And then we're also has honorable mention is Yocheved. Yocheved, the daughter who was born to the tribe of Levi, she married Amram, and she was a very righteous woman. She was very kind, loving, and faithful, and we're told that she is Shifra, one of the people that there's Shifra and Puah, who were the ones that were supposed to, Paro told them that when the males are born on the birthing stool to kill them, and they didn't listen. They didn't listen to that because they had fear in God, and they kept the boys alive because they had faith in God. And then we're also told about how she cared for the babies and nurtured the babies. And these are we know now from science the vital moments when a baby's first born, how important they are to get that love and that nurturing, and that she provided that. And we see that she was so good at having this mothering instinct and imparting the faith and love and care and nurture, that she was able to bring up Aaron, Miriam, and Moshe, who were the leaders of the nation, without whom we could have never been redeemed. I mean, we made it through the desert and through the trek and through the journey only because of these three pillars, that the leaders that provided everything the nation needed in the desert. And we're also told about Miriam, who we know that she is the one who represents also faith, and that the nation also is only existence because of her, because she learned from her mother, who modeled what it means to be faithful in God. She was able to reflect that back, and she went to her mother Yocheved when there was the decree to throw all the baby boys into the river, and then Amram, her father, and Yocheved separated because they didn't want to have children that were going to be thrown into the river. And she says, well, what you're doing is worse, because Paro is only decreeing the death of the boys, but you're decreeing the death of the women as well. the females. And so they got back together, and they had Moshe, the Redeemer, because of this. And she is just the epitome of faith, learned from her mother and taken to a whole new level. And so she represents faith, and she was the one who took her, the musical instruments, and knew that it was going to happen, the Az Yashir, when the sea split and they left. She's like, this is what I've been waiting for. Let's sing about it. So she represents faith and water. You can't live without water. You can't live without faith. This is what Miriam provided, and that's why, because of her, we merited the well of Miriam. Everything physical has spiritual and physical have a duality, and when you have one, you can have the other in this world, and that was Miriam. So what I want to point out, long story short, from these incredible women that we can learn from, is that they show us how to live with faith, how not to fear. When these women of faith, they had conviction, they had belief in God, and when their gut told them, we need this to survive, we need this to help somebody else survive, and they know what the right thing is, they went after their heart in the most respectful, dignified manner. Never overstepping over anyone else, but including the others, empowering others, and walking with others together to achieve that purpose. And this is what these women did. And this is why we were able to be redeemed from Egypt, because of women like this. And this is why we'll be redeemed tomorrow or today. Who knows? And so I want to give this speech for women to empower us to be able to go after our faith and what we know to be good and true, and to not fear when we know we're doing something that's good and faithful. And for the men that are listening, that you should know, this applies to you also, because women, good women, powerful, faithful women, we know our strengths and we can live up to it, but we know that wisdom that we have also helps us to understand and know that we have our strengths and men have their strengths, and it's only together that we can achieve the will of God. No sex alone can do it. That's why God created man and woman. And together, if we take our talents and abilities and work together, there's nothing that can't be achieved. And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.